Okay, we're in the home stretch now. By now, you should have created the equation for the least squared regression line. Again, everything you need is in here. Here's my A term. Here's my B term. Our equation, again, will be pulse equals 63.457 plus 16.2809 speed. That's again how I suggest you write these least squared regression lines. Now, part B. Do your estimates of the slope and intercept parameters have meaningful interpretations in the context of this equation? Here's what it represents. If we look at this equation that we just came up with, does 63.457 make sense? Does it make real-world sense as a y-intercept? Don't forget, the y-intercept would be if the speed is 0. So let's start with that. If the speed is 0, this is going to cancel out, leaving us with a pulse. If we have no speed, our pulse will be 63.457. Well, that makes sense. If we're just standing here, not moving, our pulse should be about 63.457. So, yes, the intercept does have meaningful interpretation. Now, speed. Does this, does the slope have meaningful interpretation? Don't forget, the slope is y over x. In this case here, it's pulse over speed. So, our pulse will increase by 16.2809 beats per minute for every one. That's a 6 there. So it'll increase by 16.2809 beats per minute for every 1 mile per hour of increase in speed. If you've ever been running, think that if you increase your running by an extra mile an hour, your heart rate will probably increase by 16.2809 beats per minute. So again, the slope also has meaningful interpretation here. So A and B were done. Now C. Construct a 98%. We're going to be looking at a 98% confidence interval. We want to compute the margin of error. Again, we did margin of error just a bit ago. The margin of error back here was T star SEB. So we have to figure out T star SEB. Let's start with the nicer one first. SEB, standard error of the slope. Here's my slope. Here's the standard error of the slope. So that is 0.8192. Now T star. What we have to use here is our T chart. Now, one of the first things you'll notice, pick up your AP packet. Pull my AP packet, there it is. Take your AP packet, and we are looking on page 14. Now, the first thing we need to know is the degrees of freedom. Degrees of freedom here, for when we do least squared regression line, when we're talking about slope parameters and those kind of information, when we're talking about using T and relating it to a least squared regression line, we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So in this scenario here, n equals 7. Our degree of freedom is again n minus 2. It's normally minus 1. Here it's n minus 2. So we'll do a degree of freedom of 5. Now we're doing a 98%. So if I start down at the bottom, I can see for 98% it's 2.326, and I'm going to move up that column until I get to the degree of freedom of 5. And we get 3.365. That is our T star. 3.365. Again, this is all for part C. So when I take 3.365 and multiply it by 0.8192, I end up with 2.7566 beats per minute. That is the margin of error that we should use. Congratulations. You have now completed question number 5 on the 2005 Form B test, but more important, ladies and gentlemen, you have completed all the material that is required right now for AP Statistics. So, here's what we need to do now. We need to start reviewing for the test in whole. We need to start looking at the test overall. We need to start looking at our multiple choice questions and our free response questions. At this time, we need to start looking at the review guide that I have provided and go from there. If you have any questions, don't forget about our review sessions, but it is going to be up to you to make sure you do review prior to this test. So, good luck.